What is up, everyone? So today I wanted to speak to you about the concept of selling. Now, selling, before I get into my perspective on that word, I'm gonna give you a little backstory of how I used to perceive that word as we were all growing up. Everybody was approached by a salesman, and there came a point where it was like, oh, you're a salesman, like, oh, it was not really looked upon as a very glorified profession if you compare it with respect to becoming a CA or a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. It's like, you're becoming a salesman, like it would be frowned upon back in the day. However, let me tell you one thing, that if you know and understand that selling is the most vital, crucial component of any business, and I mean any business, means not just limited to running a business and being able to sell your products or services, but I'm also talking about a human being. Yes. So I'm going to conceptualize the idea of selling for anyone to understand the importance of how it applies to you. So let me give you an example. Today, when you fall sick, you go to a doctor, right? And you have that trust with that doctor. Why is it that you have that trust with the doctor? Because you believe that the doctor is going to diagnose your problem and is going to prescribe you with a solution for you to be treated to become better. So when this particular doctor is explaining things to you, that this is the reason why you've fallen sick and this is what we need to do, he is essentially selling the concept, selling the idea of what he thinks, and he's transferring that knowledge to you to help you understand how to solve your problem. So I've just taken the example of a doctor. Today, if you are in a job and you want to look for another job and you go for an interview, and the potential employer or the interviewer is asking you questions, how you answer, how you convey your idea, your thoughts, your beliefs to the other person is also selling, right? So even in business, people don't buy your product or service, they buy you first. Let me repeat that. People don't buy your product or service, they buy you first. And it's extremely important as a human being. Today, if you are, let's say, when we were growing up and we wanted to sneak out, go for a party, and then we would tell our parents, we would make up a story and tell them that, oh no, I'm going to study with my friend. That is selling. You would sell the story to your parents to believe that, you're actually going to study, whereas you're going to party. So selling is the most important skill that one can have, and it applies to anyone in any situation. Whether you are a lawyer and you're selling your case to the judge that your client is not guilty, or whether you are applying for a job and you're selling to your new interviewer, to a new employer, why he should hire you and not the other 1,000 applicants, or whether you are basically in a business, right? And you're selling a product or service, you're basically telling your potential client, you're selling the idea of why they should buy your product or service. So selling is the most noble profession, and let me tell you one thing, all the millionaires and billionaires today in the world understand the game of selling. In fact, the people who are, if you look in your company, if you're in a job right now, the people who are in sales are the people who are making the most money. Isn't that true? Because when you are working in IT, or when you're working in, like a more, in a non-sales job, then you know that at the end of the month, you're going to get that salary, right? But people who are in sales, why do they make a lot of money? Because they also have the ability to earn commissions. Why? Why do salesmen in companies get more money than any other employee? is because they are bringing in more business. And if there's no business, then you as an IT guy or as an administrative person will have no work to do. So that is why it's so crucial that you understand and you embrace and concept and you really embrace this word as selling into your being, that selling is an art, it's a skill. It's something you need to embody and learn, especially if you are selling yourself, selling your skills, selling your personality, selling what you can do for your client, selling what you can do for your future employer. It is extremely, extremely important to understand, selling. And how do you learn about selling? How do you understand about selling? It's all about understanding, psychologically, how can you help solve a problem? How can you, by sharing a concept or sharing an idea, benefit the other person, right? Because selling essentially isn't about making money. Selling is about transforming. What do I mean by transformations or transforming? It means that when you're sitting in an interview and you're selling yourself to your future employer, right? There is a process of transformation where, based on the words that come out of your mouth, your future employer is going to have certain thoughts when he sits in front of you, and based on what you say to him, it's going to transform the way he looks at you, and he's going to believe and understand that, yes, I want to work with this person. Now the thing is that what's really happening is that a lot of people out there don't really understand that they can learn selling, or they can learn these strategies, or they can learn how to really understand your customer. And that's why the reason why people they follow the system and they don't really do well, because they've not learned the art of selling. And like I said earlier, this applies to anyone and everyone, depending on whatever situation you're in, whether you're an employee or you're an entrepreneur. Now, especially in the case of an entrepreneur, if you are, if you realize that the most important component of your business is selling, it doesn't matter, or, let's take a startup, for example. You have different components of any business, right? You have your, finance, you have your finance, you have your administration, you have HR, you have, let's say, all the other stuff, and then you have sales, and then you have marketing. Which component is going to bring in more business to pay for the other activities in the business? It's obviously sales. So even today, with the rise of so many employees, like I personally help employees to build profitable businesses online and to become digital entrepreneurs. And the first thing that I teach them is selling and getting comfortable with that word selling. Because once you conquer the game of selling, then whether you are, speaking to your friend and selling the idea of going to Goa, or whether you are sitting in front of a client and selling a product or service as to why they should work with you. Like I said, people will buy you first and then buy a product or service. So I hope this video threw some light on the concept of selling, and it's a skill that you can learn. Everything is learnable. Remember that. If you don't know something, then find someone who knows it and learn from them. Don't be a hero. Don't go and do it on your own. It's more easier to find someone and follow one path. Like I say, focus. The full form of focus is what? Follow one course until successful, right? So I hope this was valuable. If you found this valuable, just let me know in the comments below what you thought about it, and if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.